действиях, в том числе и на юго-востоке Украины.
It's his biggest appearance of the year. President Vladimir Putin's chance to lay out his view on the world. Syria is likely to figure heavily. Russia began its intervention in the war in September last year. What began with air support now includes logistics and military advisors on the ground. Putin has repeatedly dismissed Western allegations of war crimes. He's called them pointless rhetoric with no relation to reality. Instead, he places the blame firmly with Russia's Western partners, saying the US in particular bears the responsibility for the humanitarian catastrophe in Syria.
Russia argues that it was the West that sparked the Arab revolutions, provoking chaos and bloodshed. Had it not been for Russia, Assad would have been deposed and an Islamist caliphate declared. The counter-argument is to say that the price for preventing that has been too high.
The Kremlin is in no mood to be told what to do by the US. Threats against Russia are counterproductive and damaging. Putin warned US Secretary of State John Kerry when he tried to punish Russia for its involvement in Syria. It's still unclear how Putin will actually get on with President-elect Donald Trump. He was Russia's preferred candidate. The CIA accuses Moscow of meddling in the election campaign. Putin's response to this? It's none of our business.
Of course, the secret hope was that Trump's victory would radically improve relations between the US and Putin's Russia, that the sanctions would be weakened or even abandoned fully. And what's more, it was hoped that Putin himself would be able to dictate the terms of such a radical change in relations.
The next flashpoint in relations with the West is Ukraine. Tensions continue over Russia's annexation of Crimea and the conflict in the east between Ukrainian troops and pro-Russian separatists. Moscow traces both conflicts back to the Maidan Revolution of 2014. Putin called that a coup, saying Western politicians crossed the red line and behaved highly irresponsibly and unprofessionally. 2 years on, and the West accuses Putin of wanting to leave the conflict unresolved. In response, Western governments have kept economic sanctions in place. That, of course, riles the president. While he says Russia isn't vindictive, many fear that Putin's plans extend beyond a return to the old status quo.
Putin wants to divide Europe, force it to play by his rules of the game. He wants to impose these rules everywhere he can. In Syria, Eastern Europe, in the West, and even in the US. He will continue to pursue his strategy of demanding different rules for Russia. It's a policy that goes down very well with Russians, for whom it confirms their superpower status.
At 84%, Vladimir Putin's approval ratings are still strong. Playing by his own rules seems to be paying off for the man in the Kremlin.